Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. Shifting gears a bit to talk some movies. I've watched a bunch recently, but haven't had a chance to sit down and talk about them. And you know me, I love to talk about movies. We've been watching trailers, now getting to chat about some films. It's been a really fun day for me. Hopefully, it's been as fun for you. We just finished talking about Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. You can check out that review right up there. But now it's time to shift our attention back over to the land of Netflix, man. I so many of my favorite things lately just end up on Netflix, and I tell you, I know Disney Plus is, planning to come, after Netflix as far as like the amount of viewers that they have and subscribers, all that stuff, and they've got great content, and HBO Max has got great content, and Amazon, everybody's putting together great content, yet for me, Netflix still at the top of the streaming game, man. They just put out continual quality content, and with the diversification of international film that is flooding the entire platform, it's just been wonderful to have so many different options at our fingertips on Netflix. And this is a movie that certainly hits that diversity realm in a really, really freaking awesome way. I have some friends who are Indian, but I don't know a lot about Indian culture directly. This movie gets into Indian culture in a way that I personally haven't seen before, while giving us a story that's just absolutely gripping and thrilling and terrifying and exciting all at the same time. What are we talking about? What is this movie that I feel like nobody is talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat, we are getting ready to dive in, spoiler free, into The White Tiger. Yes, this is a movie that comes to us from Ramin Bahrani. He both writes and directs here, and like I said, this is a wonderful inside look at Indian culture, and in particular, its caste system. In the movie, we follow a young Indian man named Balram, and Balram comes from what he describes as one of two castes. You were pretty much either the rich and the wealthy who kind of run everything, or you are the dirt poor people living to be servants to the rich and the wealthy. And his entire focus and drive is to become a servant for one of these powerful kind of like landlord type people in this area. And in particular, he's after this guy right over here, who is played by Raj Kumar Rao. His name is Ashok, and he is part of a very wealthy Indian family, and Balaram very badly wants to try to be a driver, and he kind of schemes his way into becoming a driver for this guy, and that kind of sets us off on our story path. And it's one of those movies where we kind of see Balaram at the end of his journey at the beginning. He's writing a letter to somebody and kind of telling us the story of how he went from where he was to where he is now, which is a business owner. He's got fly clothes on, man, at the end of this thing, and his whole look is totally different than what we get with Balaram the whole time. And watching Balaram work as a servant and be treated like a servant, and at times treated like lower than dirt, it's just gut-wrenching to watch, knowing that this type of world like exists. It's kind of crazy that there is, we know that like the levels of poverty can be this bad, but the idea of like legitimately like they're almost like indentured servant slaves to a degree to some of these rich folks, and the way that they treat them, it's tough to watch sometimes for Balaram. And it's one of those things where it's not like, like white and blacks, where you've got like, masters and slaves. Like, these are all people of India. They all look the same, but they, have two very distinct classes. And watching Balaram's journey and how he navigates, and just even when he is shamed or put down, always wanting to do for the master, it's kind of crazy. And to watch him slowly get that concept broken down for him, and how he shifts and what leads him to his shift in the way he acts with his masters, and what his overall goal ends up being to get out from underneath this caste system, is just a really, really well told story. like I said, you have Ramin Barani here who is writing and directing, and from a script standpoint, like, he knocks this thing out of the ballpark. I was absolutely, like, just enthralled with this movie. You could not take your eyes off the screen, and so much of that is the writing, but so much of it is the performance from Adarsh Gaurav, who plays Balram. He is like one of those people who the minute he comes onto the screen, you're like, oh, this kid's got a future. Like, he pops in a really big bad way. And like I said, the way he kind of works the system and maneuvers himself through all the different situations that he's presented with is just a real joy to watch. And Gaurav is really, really talented. Like, this is someone I think you should probably keep your eye on, because there's just like I don't know, there's something to his performance that really, really just stands out in my mind as one of my favorite performances from the year. And it really is, he is your way into the story, and he is what keeps you cemented. But we, of course, do have some other folks. As I mentioned, Raj Kumar Rao, who plays Ashok. He does a really good job. He's kind of interesting, right? Because he's one of these, like, more new-aged Indians, where he grew up in India. He comes from a very wealthy family, but he has spent time in America. And his, I don't remember if she's his wife or his fiance is American. And that is, of course, Pinky Madam, played by Priyanka Chopra Jonas. And both do a fine job. Rao, his character also has a really interesting emotional kind of roller coaster that Balram is around for. And the way he interacts with Balram almost treats Balram like a friend at times. It is a very different type of attitude and interaction than when you see Balram with, Ashok's dad or his main bodyguard. And then there are times where he'll swing from being like someone who seems like they actually appreciate, Balram as a person, and then just like that can treat him like absolute dirt. And the performance from Ashok is really, really strong. Like, he goes to a bunch of places, and all the places that he goes, I really enjoyed watching. Priyanka Chopra Jonas, also very good. She is the Americanized Indian who, kind of comes in and sees someone like Balram, and it's like, well, this is just wrong. Like, this is not how you treat a person. He is a person. Like, you can't just slap him or kick him or spit on him or do, like, that's wrong. And she is so apprehensive around the whole idea of a servant of any kind. And she really is that kind of awakening that Balram needs, that idea of a bigger world view, and how people look at him from the outside kind of influences a lot of the things that is going on. And what Pinky represents inside the movie and what her story involves is a real important piece to Balram's story. But for me, the bigger thing with Chopra Jonas is the fact that she produced this movie, got this movie going, got it out there. Obviously, someone who saw something was like, hey, let's make this happen. And thank goodness it did, because this is a really, really awesome movie. And everybody that shows up in the film is excellent from all the different levels, whether, you're talking about, the masters, or you're talking about, that low level of the caste system that's there, and all the poor people, specifically Balram's family. And they all give a different sense from, culture to food to, there's a really wonderful scene where Balram takes Ashok to get some, like, real Indian food. And, like, watching that stuff is just so cool. I love watching cultures that I'm not familiar with. And this is a story that shows that, and shows us some stuff that I certainly didn't know was a thing in certain places of India. And I just really enjoyed what the movie had to do as far as bringing the culture and the representation, but also, like, the story itself. It is a really, really suspenseful thriller, and it's fun to watch Balram's overall story and how he gets to where he gets to. It is just one of those, like, I don't understand why more people aren't talking about The White Tiger. I had really not heard about it at all. Saw it pop up on Netflix, and I was like, this looks interesting. Like, I'm familiar with Priyanka Chopra Jonas. That was my way in. I was like, oh, Priyanka Chopra Jonas. Like, I really like her. She's usually pretty good. And, like, I played the trailer. I was like, this looks awesome. And then I was in. And I'm very glad that I was. Because, like I said, this is a movie I feel like nobody's talking about, but is, like, really, really, really good stuff. It easily could have made... I'm trying to think if it was in... if it came out at some point in 2020 and then I don't know whether it's 2020, 2021 of movies that I've watched recently. This is definitely one of my favorites, and I just really enjoyed what we got out of it. And as it says on the poster, I should mention this: it is based on a book that was written by Aravind Adiga. So that's where Bharani kind of pulled the material from. And like I said, what he gave us from a directing and writing standpoint was something that I just really, really enjoyed. So there you go, man. Those are all my thoughts on The White Tiger, which kind of plays into the overall idea of the movie. Balaram kind of considers himself a white tiger, and a white tiger is an animal that only comes once a generation in India, which I didn't know. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know the white tiger was a once-in-a-generation tiger. But the way that kind of plays into the story, the title of the movie, playing into Balaram's story, also something that really, really worked. So as you can tell, I dug the heck out of The White Tiger. Question is, did you? Have you had a chance to find The White Tiger on Netflix? Give it a go. What'd you think? Good, bad? Did you like this deep inside look at parts of Indian culture? Did you like this story? What kind of emotions did it pull from you? This is definitely a movie that will enlist some emotions from people. Like, there are moments where you want to be angry. There are moments where you're going to roll some tears. You're going to laugh. Like, it'll bring you to all these different places, and how you get to those places is really interesting. So in those areas, where did you land? What'd you think of the performances? What'd you think of the story? Anything you got to say about The White Tiger, even if you haven't seen it, have we intrigued you to want to check it out? Let me know what you're thinking down below in the comments section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the old C-Man anytime we're talking movies, TV, trailer reactions, you haven't yet, you want to show a little love support to this guy? Jump over there, hit that subscribe button, come join C-Maniac Nation, hit that little alert bell if you want those alerts, and if not, hope you come back and give it another go with the old C-Man. But until then, for the C-Man's Cinema, sit down! I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace! Oh, hey, what's going on? You must be sticking around because you're looking for more content featuring this guy. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. You can check out more videos right here and right here. And if you have and you want to come join that C-Maniac Nation, you can hit that subscribe right over there.